How to paint a room. With a few tips from Premier, your paint job will go faster and you'll get better results. Don't worry, you got this with Premier. Now that you've painted your trim and panel door, you're ready to tackle painting your walls. Start by covering your furniture and floors with drop sheets. Then, apply painter's tape to the areas surrounding all trim, windows, and doors. Note that if you've just painted your ceiling and trim, they should dry for at least 24 hours before taping. Delicate surface painter's tape should be used if they haven't had more than 7 days to dry. Be sure to press the tape down with your thumb or a clean putty knife to avoid paint bleeding through edges. Primer can be very helpful when painting a room. There are 4 types of primers: drywall, multi-purpose, ALKYD, and tintable. Premier drywall primers are useful if the walls have an irregular surface or you are painting natural drywall or wood paneling. They can also be used to spot prime any areas where you have just repaired or filled in cracks or holes. This will help prevent the sheen from looking different on the surface. If you have problem areas such as stains, odor, or mold, you should clean thoroughly and use a Premier multi-purpose primer. For tougher stains and odors, consider using Premier ALKYD primer for maximum blocking and sealing performance. Finally, Premier tintable primer should be used to lessen the number of coats required, especially for rich colors. Note that tinting may be required depending on the color you choose. If you are using more than 1 can of paint, pour them all into a large bucket and mix them thoroughly together with a paint stick for a uniform color. When you paint with a brush, transfer a small amount of paint to a container and use that to supply the brush. Only dip the paintbrush halfway into the paint, then draw the brush out and tap off any excess paint. To begin cutting in, use the thick part of your brush to apply 3-inch bands of paint along all corners and edges where they meet ceilings, baseboards, other walls, and door and window frames. Note that when cutting in, it's best to use an angled brush to get into corners more easily. As you apply the paint, leave a small space between the edge you are cutting in and your brush stroke. Then, with the thin part of your brush, go back to close the space to get a nice straight line along the edge. When it's time to paint with a roller, first transfer paint into a tray. Then start by painting a big W on the wall about 1 meter square. Without reloading the roller, go back and fill it in with easy, long strokes to lay the paint down on the surface. Don't push the paint on. Be sure to roll the paint into all the cut lines. Continue by starting into the next dry area and paint back towards the previously painted section, maintaining a wet edge. Note that if you need to take a break or stop for the day, be sure to finish the wall you're working on first. Wait the period of time recommended by the manufacturer before applying a second coat. Once complete, be sure to give the wall a few days to cure before hanging anything like art or shelves. A professional-looking paint job is easier than you think. Don't worry, you got this with Premier. Paint without the pain.